We are in Section 1, Community Ecology. Make sure in your book you are highlighting, putting a star in the side of the book, or underlining, or in a different color, writing the title of the slides. Communities. A biological community is a group of interacting populations that occupy the same area at the same time. Limiting factors in those communities, and this should all be written down. Any abiotic or biotic factor that restricts the numbers, reproduction, or redistribution of organisms is called a limiting factor. And there's two of those. Abiotic or non-living limiting factors include sunlight, climate, temperature, water, nutrients, fire, soil, chemistry, and space. Biotic or living limiting factors include other plant and animal species. For the purpose of your notes, write down range of tolerance and continue to write the next two bullet points. For any environmental condition, there is an upper limit and a lower limit an organism can survive. The ability of an organism to survive when subjected to abiotic, non-living, or biotic, living factors is called tolerance. Here we have a picture of tolerance of steelhead trout. On the left side, we have the lower limit for the range of tolerance, and moving to the right, it goes all the way to the opposite extreme of upper limit. And along the y-axis, we have number of steelhead trout. Notice that in the range of tolerance, temperature moves from 9 degrees centigrade to 25. So looking at this, we can see that the steelhead trout are completely absent at the lower limit, in this case, temperature range. And in the upper limit, they are absent as well. What's their sweet spot? Well, their sweet spot is this bell curve right here. This is the sweet spot. So it would be between 13 and 21 degrees. That middle section is the optimum zone. Notice the main idea for the topic for this section has changed. Make sure you change it as well and highlight it. Ecological succession. The change in an ecosystem that happens when one community replaces another as a result of changing abiotic, non-living, and biotic living factors is ecological succession. And there are two types. You need to write these down and save some space. Primary succession is your first one, and secondary succession is the second. So under primary succession, I said save some room. So you have two bullet points. The establishment of community in an area of exposed rock that does not have any topsoil is considered primary succession. The stable, mature community that results when there is little change in species composition is a climax community. In our graphic, you can see on the left side, there's bare rock, lichens growing on the rock. If you've been at Elephant Rocks, you've noticed like this little green, pale colored like stuff, just kind of like stuck to the rock, almost like paint. That's a lichen. That's a type of plant. And it also etches into the rock. It's pretty cool. And so here we have the primary succession. But then through time, not so much the earlier stages, but through the middle and definitely through the more mature communities, we get this climax community. Under secondary succession, you're going to write down the orderly and predictable change that takes place after community of organisms has been removed, but the soil has remained intact. That's secondary succession.
Ecological succession is an important concept in ecology. It's all about the systematic changes you see over time in the life cycle of an ecological community. Primary succession is the establishment of a community in an area that has exposed rocks and no topsoil. Lichens and mosses, known in this case as pioneer species, start growing on rocks. Pioneer species are among the first organisms to appear and help create soil. Over time, rocks weather and soil forms. In a secondary succession, new soil formed from dead pioneer species allows for the establishment of small weedy plants, small ferns, fungi, and insects. As these organisms die, more soil builds. Seeds carried into the area by water, wind, or animals begin to grow. After some time, succession slows down, and the community reaches equilibrium. This stable, mature community is called a climax community.
If you can answer the 3 bullet points, how do unfavorable abiotic and biotic factors affect species? How do ranges of tolerance affect the distribution of organisms? And what are the stages of primary and secondary succession? You should be able to do very well on your quizzes.